What's going on, gaming family? Sega Man back here with another pickups video. Actually, this is a really good pickups video I got. Stuff that I picked up today, actually. I went to my local Cash and Culture, and I picked up some games I wanted to add back to my old school collection. You know what I mean? Some of them new, some of them, you know, I might have had in the past, I believe. And I also picked up a couple more games at my local exchange. So Cash and Culture is having a sale this week. Everything off 20% in the store that you buy. So each game you buy is 20% off each game that you buy. So when you go to Cash and Culture, it's good to load up on the games. You know what I mean? Because you can get a good deal. You can get, if you get like cheap games at like $4 or $5, $6, $7, $8, 20% off of each game. So it's pretty awesome. And I had doubles of stuff that I actually traded in, and it got $20 towards my trade for when I wanted to get my games that I purchased from Cash and Culture. So let's get into it. I'll show you my pickups. Very excited to show you what I got, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about some of the stuff that I picked up. So the first one I picked up, and I did own this game. It is called Hyper Load Runner by Bandai. That was $4.99 at Cash and Culture for the Game Boy. What's good about the Game Boy is the Game Boy handheld itself is an okay handheld system. It's some people's favorite. Mine is the Game Gear. But what I like about this is I have my GameCube and I have the Game Boy player. Where I can plug it into the bottom of that and play this on my HD TV in my game room, which is really awesome. And sometimes it puts these games in color. You can either put it at its original form, or you can actually stretch it, you know, on your TV. And it is fun to play Game Boy Color games, and even advanced games on that Game Boy Advance player that you can get for your GameCube. Now I think that has actually went up in price to own that, and the hardest thing to get with that is the disc itself you need for it to run when you're playing your games. I've seen that disc for $50, just a disc. You know what I mean? So it's very expensive. I actually own two of those discs. I went to a Goodwill one time and I found like two of those discs, and I still have them actually. So altogether I have three. You know what I mean? So it's always good to keep extras of things like that, because I might find another player and might not have the disc, and I'll have the disc with it, which is really cool. So the next one I got from Cash and Culture is a beat 'em up. It's called, if I'm saying this right, it's called Power Quest, and this is by Sunsoft. Now I never heard of this. It's a beat 'em up. Now I never heard of this game. It was $4.99. If anybody knows anything about this, I think it's a Game Boy Color game. Or yeah, I think. And it is. I've seen a little bit of video on it, and it looks good. So I wanted to give this one a shot. It was $4.99, so I'm gonna check that out on the Game Boy player. And I actually picked up a Super Famicom game for my and Super NES. It is called Battle Blaze. Now it is like a side-scrolling, like sort of like fighting game, kind of like their answer to Golden Axe. But that was $9.99. That's not including, you know, the 20%. Made it a little cheaper. And I believe there is an American version of this game. But I got it, and I can play it on my Super NES because I have it fixed to where I can play U.S. games and you know, Japanese games. So I picked that up. So I'm going to give that one a try. And another thing, I have a Super NES, guys. The original Super NES controller I had for it, the directional pad is wore out. Like when you push the directional pad, and you know how it's supposed to pop, you know how it pops up and down? It doesn't do that anymore. It just, when you push it, it's like there's no, you know what I mean? There's no, like, it's like the rubber inside there where the directional pad is worn out, so it doesn't work right. So, and I also have a Super Pad. I can use that, but I wanted to get one that kind of feels like the Super NES one. You know what I mean? I asked him how much an original Super NES controller would be, and he told me $30. And he didn't have none in stock. So I said, all right. So what I did is I got a second party controller for the Super NES. And it was $10, but he told me the quality is really good, and it feels just like like you have a regular controller. And this is called, I think it's Tinko Games Classic Controller for the Super NES. That was $10. That was included in the trade, everything, to sell everything. That's why I got it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to actually try this out when I'm done doing this video. But it looks just like the Famicom controller. It just doesn't say Nintendo on it. But he said it works really well. And I'm going to try it out. So I picked that up. Been searching for this game on the original Xbox for a while. When I tried to search for it, it was disc only online. Or it was out of stock. And I have the other two games. So I was so glad to find this at Cash and Culture for $6. It is Terminator 3, The Redemption. So I picked that up. I'm glad to have this in my Xbox collection. You know what I mean? It is complete with everything in there. Totally awesome. I'm so glad to have this game. I have the other Terminator, Rise of the Machines. The other one, I have that one, 3. This one, and then I have the other Terminator game too. So now I have all 3, and I'm just excited to have this in my OG Xbox collection, because I've been looking, for this game for a while. Now, for my NES, okay. I like shoot 'em ups, right? So I wanted to get my shoot 'em ups back, man, because like I told you, a few years back I had to get rid of my NES games and systems. Because I needed a new car. My car wouldn't pass inspection. So I had to sell it. And I had to put money towards my new car that I got. My friend Sire649 helped me with that by buying a few of my NES games off of me. He's a really good friend of mine, Sire649. He really helped me actually to get that car in a way. Whatever he gave me for what we decided on helped me get that car. Because without a car, you don't work. You know what I mean? So work is way more important than games. To some people it isn't, but to me it is. Work is more important than games. So I had to sacrifice my NES stuff. So I have this Nintendo retro bit. It's called a retro bit, right? So I bought back some of my beloved shoot 'em ups that were on the NES. And the first one I'm going to show you is by Tanyo. It's called Sky Shark. I found that at Cash and Culture. That was $4.99. Another one is called Tiger Heel. That was $4.99. Great shoot 'em up on there. And my all-time favorite shoot 'em up ever on a Nintendo is by Milton Bradley, called Abanox. And I am so glad they had this. It was $7.99. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. This is one of the best shooters on that system. I love this game. It's hard. It's challenging. It has great music in it, but you can't go wrong. So if you're into shoot 'em ups and you have an NES and you don't have this in your collection, see if you can find it on the cheap and add it to your NES collection. Abanox is a great classic shoot 'em up for the NES. Another one here, also by Milton Bradley. They must have made some cool shoot 'em ups for the Nintendo system. It is called Captain Skyhawk. It's another pretty cool shoot 'em up to have on your NES. Another cool shoot 'em up on there. This is by SNK. It is called Alpha Mission. And that's on the original NES. And there is, I believe, on my Genesis, on my Xbox One X, I have Alpha Mission 2 on there. So, this is for the original NES. This is actually, to me, a collector's. Collectors for people that are into shoot 'em ups. And it was only $5.99. And it is a great shoot 'em up to add to your NES collection. And the last one I got from there for $7.99 by Tecmo is called Star Force. It's another cool shoot 'em up to add to your NES collection. So if you're into shoot 'em up, guys, I prefer these games. They're great shoot 'em ups, and I think you would enjoy them. Now, let's see. I think that was it for Cash and Culture. Yeah. So I went to my local exchange, and there was actually one game I was looking for, and I found it, and I will show you that one last. Actually, two games I found there. But I found some cheap games there for $1. And the first one here is, it's an advanced game. It's called Cartoon Network Speedway. And I like playing these on, like I told you, the Game Boy Player. So I picked that up for $1. I'm going to check that out. It's just it was $1. It's called A Bug's Life. You remember the movie A Bug's Life? So I picked that up too. I'm going to try this out on there. A Bug's Life. And I also picked up, I don't know what this is. I think it's called Did a Lion Ops? I picked that up for $1, so I'm going to check that out and see what that's all about. You know what I mean? It might be an action adventure. If you guys can see that, well, let me know in the description box of what this game is. So I'm curious to find out what it is, and I'm going to check that out. I also picked up a Game Boy Color game called Pro Pool. Has a little battery inside there for memory. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to check that out. That was $1. And the main game I picked up there that I'm so glad to have back in my Game Boy collection is called Solar Striker. And I was looking for this online. I looked for it at Cash and Culture, and they didn't have it. So Solar Striker is a great shmup game for your Game Boy. And this was only $5. So I am so glad to have this back. I didn't have to go through ordering it and waiting a week to get it. You know what I mean? So I'm so glad to have this back in my collection, which is awesome. And you know what's also awesome about the exchange? See these cases, these jewel cases? You could take the tape off of these, right? Fix it up, and if you have like a broken or cracked Dreamcast game, you can replace it with these beautiful outer shell cases they have. As long as you have the inside to hold the game. It's good to keep these. You can do that with these, like, music CDs, and stuff like that. Even your old school PS1 games, you can use it for this, which is pretty awesome. Even some of your Sega Saturn games that came like this. So it's cool to have these. And last but not least, I was looking for this too. It was a little bit expensive online. I tried to look for it on another site. It was only disc only. You know what I mean? But I found it for $6, and I'm glad to have this in my OG Xbox collection. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Melee. So I found that at the exchange. That was only $6. So I'm glad to add this into my collection. And what I love about that too is it is complete with the book and the game. So that was from there. That's all I have, guys, for my pickups this time. And the last thing I want to show you that I couldn't find because it was expensive to get is just one DVD. One DVD, because I love this guy. He's passed away now. You know who he is. He has the best zombie movie, George Romero. It was made in my mall where I live in Pennsylvania, which is Monroeville Mall. And it is Dawn of the Dead by George Romero, the original, not the new one, the original, for $10 at Cash and Culture, because they also sell movies also. So I found that. I'm very glad to have this now. I have all the Dead movies from George Romero. He is a Pittsburgh native. You know what I mean? He started his movie out here, and this is a great movie. It was filmed in the mall that I shop in today, where Cash and Culture is. So I had to pick this up. It is an awesome movie. I think I had it on VHS a long time ago, but I'm so glad to have this in my collection. So that's all I have for right now, guys. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you are gaming on what you like. You know what I mean? And I will be back with another video soon. I have another video that I'm going to upload probably at the end of the week that I want you guys to check out. It's about something that has to do with Sega. So I hope you guys look forward to that. So keep gaming, guys. Thank you for subscribing. You know, I really appreciate you guys subscribing and watching. And a thumbs up to all my subscribers. You guys rock, my gaming family. You know what I mean? I like to give shots out to a couple friends. You know, Carly, Mr. 100, you know, Cyrus649, E-Rock, the Don King of Xbox. Check out I Have the Power. Hebot, check his channel out. He does a lot of cool things. He's a cool brother. You know, Randy, check him out. Check out Vintage Dennis. He's a new and upcomer. He does his own thing. I like him because he's original, and I like that he does that. You know what I mean? He's a cool dude. Check out his videos. Thank you for subscribing, guys. All right? And always remember, Xbox for life. Peace. Sega Man out.